This beautiful motor sailor is to be our platform for the proceedings. She is 90 foot long and one of the most luxurious vessels of her kind. She is one of some 28 boats which are allowed to follow the 12s while racing. So we have a most privileged position to view the event. To sail a 12-meter is the experience of a lifetime, which can never, never be repeated. For the defenders, 2 times champion Ted Turner with Courageous, winning the Cup in 1974 and 1977. Russell Long with his 12-meter Clipper. And Dennis Connor, a newcomer and Olympic champion, with Freedom, a yacht specially built for this 1980 defense in mind. For the challengers, Pelle Peterson and Sverige for Sweden. Gentleman Jim Hardy with the Royal Perth Yacht Club's entry, Australia, and his 11-man team from Down Under. Bruno Troublé for Baron Bick, the ballpoint pen millionaire, with his 3rd attempt, France 3 and his team. And finally, Laurie Smith and John Oakley heading the British attempt with Lionheart, the first challenge for 10 years from the British. If you think that this sport is only for the wealthy, you are mistaken. Although many of the crew are connected with the sailing industry, most of them are pretty ordinary folk, giving up as much as 3 years of their life to get a boat ready with very little pay. It's truly a labor of love. Some just get fed, bedded and watered for their efforts. The French team have been away from home for the last 2 years. The same applies to the Swedish, who we see preparing their boat at Newport Offshore Marina, just as the Americans are doing at Bannister's Wharf a scant 100 yards away. Out of the 4 challengers, the British entry was the least prepared, arriving in Newport some 6 weeks before the racing began. This was mainly to do with the lack of large donations to the syndicate, and some feel without the British television Blue Peter chairing the collection of milk bottle tops by the under-16s of England, the endeavour would have never gotten off the ground. The Amercas Cup is match racing, and only 2 boats sail against each other at one time. There are up to 7 races in a set. The first boat to win 4 times eliminates his competitor from the competition. First, there are races amongst the challengers to determine the challenger that will go on to the final against the Americans. Secondly, there are races amongst the defenders to determine which American boat will have the honor of defending the cup. The course is in the shape of a triangle and measures some 24.3 miles. There are 6 legs of about 4 miles each. The starts are to windward, followed by 2 reaches, one on the port tack and the other on the starboard tack, thus completing the triangle. Then there is a windward leg a downwind leg, and finally a windward leg to the finish. There is a time limit for the completion of a race of 5¼ hours. This beautiful three-masted schooner crossed the Atlantic from the south of France to be a floating hotel for Baron Bick during the series. Her name is Shenandoah. Baron Bick has been a long stayer in trying to win the cup from the Americans. This is his third year in Newport.
Races can be won and lost at the starts and the first windward leg, where the boats will tack across to each other relentlessly to find an advantage.
Some few minutes after the 5-minute gun had sounded, the boats were circling around to find the advantage. At the time of the incident, Lionheart had the edge. She was in front of France. As you will see, Lionheart makes quite a legal turn to starboard, with France on the port tack behind her. At the end of her turn, you will notice that the boom of Lionheart is over to the port side, thus giving her the quite legal right of way. France 3 collides and contact is made. Like so many times in the past, when Sir Thomas Lipton was racing the Jays, the New York Yacht Club seemed to make up its own rules, and France 3 won the protests, winning the race, eliminating Lionheart from the competition, and herself going into the semi-final with Australia, who had beaten Sverige 4 races to 1. France seems to be pounding very heavily in these conditions. She's around the mark, but just by pinching it. 29 seconds.
29 seconds.
France is the slower boat on the windward legs.
That's a good spinnaker study.
Australia have problems here with their spinnaker pole. Their spinnaker's not fully flying yet.
Now they got it.
Yes, she's sound now. Here's the Australians coming up to the finish line. There's the gun. There's the gun. They got the French good and proper. French are some half a minute behind, if not more. The first race set the precedent for the Australians. Beat France 3, 4 out of 4. Baron Bick was heartbroken that he had failed again. This was to be his last attempt. So Australia was to be the challenger for 1980. The American defender had also been elected. Russell Long and Clipper was eliminated, and Ted Turner seemed to have lost interest in the race, knowing full well a faster boat than Courageous was in the front seat. Dennis Conner had proven himself a boat capable of upholding the great American honor of defending that old vinegar pot. Freedom was the defender. Between the trials and the finals, both Australia and Freedom had decided to use the new technology. Freedom's secret weapon was a mainsail that would not stretch, made out of Kevlar Malar, a synthetic developed by DuPont. The Australians had seen what Lionheart's floppy topmast had done to increase the sail area, and had opted for that. Again, time was to play an important part in the proceedings, and as you can see in this, the first race of the series, with strong winds, the top of the flexible mast was bending to leeward, thus making the mainsail inefficiently fluffing in the leach. Freedom won the first one. The second race was abandoned because of light airs, but Australia showed the prudence of the floppy top mast and caught Freedom on the last windward leg in 8 knots of breeze. As it is now, the race has started. This third race was to be proven as the most exciting in the Cup's history.
Was first around the first mark, the second mark, and the third mark. Got their spinnaker in trouble there. They're looking good now. We're on the fourth leg of the mark, and Australia's got him. Australia's got him good. He's made it.
Making history. I think that of all the things that have happened throughout the 150 years of sailing for the Americas Cup, we are now being in a marvellous position to see history being made. This is the only second time since 1934 that we have seen a challenger in front of the American defender. And of course we're all unbelievably pleased and happy to see that we are in fact having a boat race. Yippee!
The mark is somewhere to our right. It does look if Freedom is taking the lead now. There's very little wind around now. You can see by the flags of the spectator boats that they're just flapping very idly. We may have a problem about finishing the race. Well, this is how it looks at the second to last mark. The Americans have taken probably a 6-boat lead, 6 lengths lead over the Australians. The wind has died. It's very doubtful whether they are going to finish the race. This is how they are at the mark. There goes Freedom. The rules under which these races are run by are the International Yacht Racing Union rules, and they allow 5¼ hours for the race to be completed in. At this particular stage we have about 2 miles to go and to get there in.
He's got him. History. Is his history in the making indeed? Go for him, laddie.
Even the Americans on board are cheering. They all want to see Australia win.
All the boats had their running lights and saloon lights on. How could anyone expect to race in the dark? I talked to Jim Hardy after this race, and all he could remember was the green flashes of the Coast Guard vessels and the fact that they looked so far away. This race was surely to go down in the annals of the 12-meter racing as one of the most exciting duels in its history.
There's the mark, and there's the distances. There she is. There's the finish. Horns are blowing. People are clapping and screaming. Hey! Freedom is having a lot of trouble with her sails today. It's almost in tatters. I hope it holds to the mark. We've got another 400 yards to the mark. There's Freedom at the mark. She's rounding the mark. Now she's going to have trouble with that headsail. Caught on the costry, the spinnaker. There's 49 seconds between the two. Australia behind by 49 seconds. There's a knot in the spinnaker. There's a knot in it. Freedom have problems still with their sail. There's no pole on the spinnaker. There's no pole on it. They couldn't get a pole on it. Aussies are coming up on them very quickly now. It looks as if Freedom has kept her lead a little bit. It's difficult to tell from this angle. So pretty sight to watch them both going down towards the last mark. Well, that made it a 3-1 boat game, with Dennis Conner taking the 4th race from Jim Hardy to the tune of a 3-minute victory. Start is at the start of the 5th race. Freedom's on top of Australia. They're very close to the duel at the beginning of this race. 3rd mark. Freedom have been some 20-30 seconds up since the start almost. There's quite a gap between the two of them, as you can see. This is the 6th leg here. Certainly Freedom is going to take the Americas Cup this year. The score will be 4-1. It's almost certain. There's probably a minute and a half between the two boats. Driving up for victory by the looks of it. Tremendous distance he's put up between him and Australia.
Freedom had won the Americas Cup and the tradition was retained, but only because of the teamwork that, put together with one of the finest racing machines ever designed, made an unapproachable opponent to the challengers. Imagine yourself as one of the Freedom crewmen. Just for 1 second. 2 years of your personal endeavor has finally materialized into your being a part of the victory team that has represented in international competition the millions of people that call themselves Americans.
Well, what's going through my mind right now is enjoying the fruits of 2 years of hard work and sacrifices and a lot of fun.
How's it feel to be champion?
It's a tremendous thrill, as you might well expect, and right now I'm just going to lay back and enjoy it.
Your thoughts on the crew and the performance of the boat?
Well, they just couldn't have been better today, and the boat performed fine, and sails were good, and I think getting ahead of the start was a key factor in the race today, and basically from then I tried to sail a very conservative race, stay between them and the mark, and not make any mistakes.
Congratulations. Are you sad at all that the Australians won one race?
We would have liked to have beat them, but they sailed well and they deserved to win.